Our next module is on self-esteem for effectiveness. Self-esteem. What is self-esteem? Self-esteem is basically the evaluative measure of your self-concept. When I use the term evaluative, it basically means how I value myself, my sense of self-worth. Do I consider myself to be a valuable person at home, at work, in different roles that I play in life? Self-esteem, our self-esteem can range on a continuum of positive to negative. People with a positive self-esteem tend to be more emotionally sound. They are more emotionally intelligent. They are better able to bounce back from life's setbacks. They can cope with stress rather easily than their counterparts with a negative self-esteem. Put simply, self-esteem is how I value myself as a person when I compare myself to others. Do I consider myself to be at par with them? Do I consider myself to be with a very low self-esteem? Do I consider myself to be not very value-adding, be it at home, be it at work? People with a low self-esteem generally tend to bicker a lot. They tend to complain a lot about whatever is happening, whatever situation that they're in. No matter how good or bad the situation is, you will always see them bickering. You will always see them picking random fights. Anxiety, anger, frustration keeps setting in. This might also be a low self-esteem, might also be a symptom or a sign, one of the signs of stress. So people with a low self-esteem are generally too harsh on themselves. Now, what are the consequences of having a low self-esteem? Basically, a low self-esteem person will consider him or herself to be not good enough, even though they are good enough, say, to deal with people, to handle various situations, to be in a situation, to handle a task, manage a conflict. They don't consider themselves to be good enough. Second, they also will not take up new tasks, and there will be a lot of fear before attempting a new role or getting out of their comfort zone or even doing their day-to-day routine tasks, with the fear that they will mess things up. That is a major consequence of low self-esteem. Now, think of those times in your childhood when your father was teaching you how to ride a bicycle, and in the process of you learning how to ride that bike, you probably had so many falls, so many injuries, yet it's because your pat on the shoulder that you received from him, you always were eager to get back on that bicycle and get the hang of it. What I'm trying to say here is that our self-esteem is not formed overnight. It is a part of our growing up process. Our parents, our teachers, our mentors, they play a major role in shaping our self-esteem. Consequences of low self-esteem we've already discussed. Now, someone with a low self-esteem, how does someone with a negative self-esteem or a low self-esteem, or someone who has very low self-confidence levels, how does he bounce back from those situations? How does one change from a negative to a positive self-esteem? Well, the first major important factor in changing your self-esteem from a low self-esteem to a positive one, from a low one to a high one, is that you should be willing to change it. Not because somebody else asked you to. Not because you have to. It's because you feel that you need to take charge of your life and you need to change the way you feel about yourself. You need to change the attitude you have towards yourself. How does one go about doing that? Let's take a look.